It used to be, parents used to teach their kids that if someone's saying something that you don't like, ignore them, walk away. That's what it used to be, and that was the normal response. Now, if you hear something you don't like, it's shut them down. You have every right and responsibility to shut them down, and that is terrifying. It should be terrifying for everyone that represents democracy, free speech, or freedom of ideas.
David Menzies for the Rebel News here at York University in North Toronto. Well, folks, late last month you might be aware that a club on campus, that would be Harat, held a Israel information session. And unfortunately, instead of engaging in lively debate with those who have a differing opinion of Israel, a mob of unruly thugs crashed the event, creating chaos. Security had to be called. The police eventually had to be called. It was a truly ugly incident featuring numerous anti-Semitic incidents. Well, this received the condemnation of the Prime Minister, the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, Toronto Mayor John Tory, and the university vowed it was going to do something in the aftermath. And folks, you're never going to believe what they did. Part of their solution was essentially decertifying the Harat Club. That was the victim of the mob. Yeah, they have taken away the club privileges on campus. Well, we reached out to the Toronto director of Harat Canada, that would be Lauren Isaacs, and she was at the event that night it occurred, and here is what she had to say.
So we brought 5 former Israeli soldiers, not active duty, former soldiers, to speak about their experiences and life in Israel and to answer any audience questions. We brought them to York University on November 20th. And the event was to promote dialogue and open conversation and answering any tough questions that people had. Unfortunately, it was crashed by a bunch of wild, unruly protesters who intimidated our participants, who threatened us, who disrupted, and they protested for 3 hours through our entire event. They protested very, very loudly. I would say it was more of a mob or a riot than a protest, because when you think of protest, you think of a peaceful picket. Yeah. This wasn't a protest. It was more of a riot. And they wanted to shut down our free speech. They wanted to shut down Israeli Zionist Jewish voices on campus. And they nearly succeeded, to be honest.
And Lauren, who were these people that were part of this mob, as you call them, and what exactly were they protesting against?
Sure. So the mob was led by Students Against Israeli Apartheid, SIA, which is an anti-Israel, anti-Jewish club on campus. And they've been known to protest and disrupt and threaten. Their club has been previously banned from campus before, and they led the protest. What they were protesting? That's a very good question. In my logical mind, I don't exactly know, because there was nothing to protest. It was an open event with dialogue. Everyone was invited, of all faiths, everyone in the community, all students. It was a peaceful event where questions were encouraged. I guess what they were protesting in their minds must have been Israelis. Anything to do with Israel or Zionism or Judaism, to be honest, must be protested and must not be allowed on the York University campus, which is just terrible.
One of the actions taken by the university, inexplicably, if you ask me, is that your club, Harat Canada, at York University, is now decertified. Is that correct?
Yes, our privileges have been revoked. We've been banned. It's tantamount to de-ratifying us as a club on campus.
But you were the victim of this, as you call people that formed a mob to shut down freedom of speech on campus. What is the ostensible policy reason of shutting down your club?
That's a great question. We were given no reason. I received a letter 3 days ago that simply stated that they're doing an independent investigation. The York administration is conducting an independent investigation, and their best course of action right now is to suspend all our privileges as a club.
And tell me, the school, York University, Lauren, traditionally, historically that is, this always had a reputation as being a very welcoming space for members of the Jewish community. In recent years, that really hasn't been the case from what I can tell from what I see in the popular press. What is going on campus at York University these days?
York University was started by a bunch of Jewish people. It was funded by Jewish donors. It used to be a haven for Jews. It closed on Jewish holidays, It was a great place. Now it's completely different. It's like you're living on a new planet. I mean, they've got a terrorist loving mural that hangs in the Student Center glorifying violence against Israelis. They have passed BDS resolutions to boycott the State of Israel many years ago. They have Israel Apartheid Week, which drags on as Israel Apartheid Month. Really, the groups on campus like SIA are, comparing Israel to the Holocaust, which is a definition of anti-Semitism, and all these things contribute to the climate on campus.
And I guess one last question. When you originally staged this information session with the ex-Israeli reservists, did you expect anything like this? And I'm saying that in the context of, well, those who are against your club, they might make the assertion that you were being unnecessarily provocative by doing this in the first place. How would you respond to that?
I've been called provocative and inflammatory, a Nazi, all the time I get called these things.
A Jewish woman has been called a Nazi.
I get called a Nazi all the time.
Sorry, that does not compute with me.
So when I get called these things, I'm not intending to be provocative in any way, and I don't know how to be genuine in expressing that. But when people say that I'm being provocative, I think it's because it must be that that's where their mind goes first. If they were to do an event, it would be in order to be provocative. Call me naive, but I don't always expect, and I hope, maybe I'm not naive, maybe I'm hopeful. I hope that when we put these events on, it will spur and encourage dialogue and peacefulness and civility and potentially moving forward in a productive way. I don't want to be inflammatory. Ultimately, it's the other side that decides how it's going to play out. We hold a peaceful event, it's up to them. Are they going to protest or are they going to engage with us in a peaceful way? It used to be, parents used to teach their kids that if someone's saying something that you don't like, ignore them, walk away. That's what it used to be, and that was a normal response. Now, if you hear something you don't like, it's shut them down. You have every right and responsibility to shut them down, and that is terrifying. It should be terrifying for everyone that represents democracy, free speech, or freedom of ideas.
Now, of course, there's always two sides to every story, so we came back here to York University to speak to Lucy Fromowitz, the vice provost. She's the one allegedly responsible for having the club decertified. We were told she wasn't available. It is absolutely baffling. Maybe the reason why nobody wants to come on camera and explain what happened is, how do you explain the unexplainable? This is clearly blaming the victim for a very ugly incident that happened on campus, and it should be condemned. For the Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Well, folks, we here at the Rebel News endeavor to bring you the other side of the story, so why not become a premium content subscriber? Please go to premium.rebelnews.com, sign up, and never miss another Rebel video.